Because if you're texting my phone, we're there. You understand?
Yo, and there is a lesson there. There is a lesson
we
there.
There.
Because
we
in her mind,
we DEH.
We
there.
were
there. We were there. You understand?
Yeah. Hey XYZ fam! Welcome back to another episode of Adventures of XYZ. In this episode, we're going to be having a little conversation about dating, you know? Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we call ourselves experts on dating.
No, we're not experts, but we're going to have this round table talk, us and you, and we're inviting you in. We've been doing like a little dating series. So last week we did a video on singleness. You can catch that if you never caught it. And then this week we're going to be talking a little bit about dating. We're going into the gist of the matter. Yeah,
and then maybe we'll talk about courting and perhaps marriage a little bit later on. But for now, we're talking about dating, everything dating. If you are dating, come on. If you want to date, if you don't want to date, if you have opinions, let us know in the comments down below. But remember, above all others, remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share this with somebody who you think can benefit from it. So, if you're interested in this kind of content, then come along with us! What happens when high school lovebirds get married?
They move to a new city and start a YouTube channel, of course.
Welcome to Adventures of XYZ. I'm Xaundre.
And I'm Zara.
I'm a doctor.
And I'm a lawyer.
But we both just really love sharing our faith and going on cool adventures.
So we created this channel to share our journey as we attempt to use biblical principles to navigate life.
And have a whole lot of fun doing it.
So, come along with us!
Alright, so one of the biggest things that we've seen people ask is, what's the difference between dating, courting? Is there such a thing as exclusive dating? What am I doing during dating that's different from friendship? And I think we probably want to dissect that a little bit and talk about it so people can understand at least our views on what constitutes dating, what makes it different from friendship and so on. So what do you think dating is?
Dating is when you get to know people, when you talk to people, but you talk to them with the intention of seeing if they'll be a good partner, they'll be a good fit.
So you're saying that what makes dating is that underlying reason for the interaction.
Exactly, the intention. I think the reason we get it mixed up is because the world kind of portrays a version of dating, and then the church portrays. Some churches actually don't believe in dating any at all. Some people just believe that you choose somebody and you get married to them or whatever. And then we see dating in movies as you choosing somebody, and then you maybe start talking to that person, and in no time you're the person intimate, and then in no time when you move in.
Yeah, after first or second date, you all of a sudden reach to the person's house and you're spending a night together, and don't tell me you're having no Bible study.
And then all of that is dating. Yeah. Which I don't think, we don't think that's dating.
No, certainly not. In fact, in my worldview, dating doesn't look very different from friendships. The fundamental difference is that underlying intention that you're trying to get to know this person with view of potentially getting in an intimate relationship with them.
It's a dating is not different from friendship.
Nah, babe, I never said that.
But me no want to date none of my friends.
But I never said that dating is not any different from friendships.
What you said?
I said it may not look any different.
And
what I mean is for the person looking at the two of you, you may not be doing things that seem exclusive. You may not be doing things that seem particularly romantic either, boyfriend and girlfriend necessarily, while it still may constitute dating,
right? As
well as you may perhaps move to the other stage that we tend to call exclusive dating, where it may look very romantic, it may look quite exclusive, and even at that point, the fundamental reason you call this dating is because of that underlying intention, which is to ascertain whether this is somebody that you want to move further with intimately.
Alright.
So that's at least how I view it. I'm sure other people view it differently. Some people say that dating and courting are completely exclusive, meaning they're mutually exclusive, so it's not possible to have a worldview that lends itself to dating and also to courting. But at least how we see it, you start off with dating, then you get into exclusive dating, then you get into courting, and then you get married.
So right, so let's nip that in the bud, right? Because you said that you start off dating, then exclusive dating. So are you saying that since we have dating and exclusive dating, that you believe that you can date multiple people at once?
I definitely believe so.
Then we're gonna take you on for that,
I know, but hear me out. Hear me out. If dating is defined as we have defined it,
right, getting to know people,
getting to know someone with the view of potentially moving forward,
right,
then there's nothing to say you can't get to know more than one person at the same time.
Right. And I think overall that entire idea is a little warped because of what we see out in Hollywood and what we see in general in the society.
All right.
Because the reason people feel like, oh, I have to have this one person is because they cross emotional and physical boundaries way too quick. Them jump in way too quick. You meet somebody today and you guys know, especially the girls know what I'm talking about. You meet somebody today and in no time you're ready to plan the matching PJs for Christmas. And you're ready to, you know what color you and him and the rest of the children are going to be wearing to church for Easter Sunday or whatever.
I have something that I want to say on that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it gets us in so many problems. This jumpiness. The moment you meet somebody, all of a sudden want to
tie off.
You want to lock off everything else, everybody else, and you want to get exclusive. Now, here's the problem with that. Not only does this create a problem between the two of you, if you should decide not to proceed with this relationship, but you inadvertently are saying no to other people who may potentially cross your path at that time, which comes with an opportunity cost.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to kind of distance yourself from what you've heard all along. It's hard to even tell somebody that you're seeing multiple people and you're talking to multiple people because they know it's cheating. But then how do you decide which one is the right one if you don't meet multiple people?
Yeah, exactly.
Some people believe that they have to meet one person at a time, talk to that one person. After them finish within the 2 or 3 weeks, they'll decide if they want to continue to talk to the person or they want to cut them off. That's how some people view it. I've heard people say they just don't have the energy to be talking to multiple people at once.
And you know why I feel like that is so?
Because
this idea of talking to the person is very exclusive and way too deep,
too early,
That's too true. Deep. And so we end up in a situation of serial monogamy where you're with this person until it don't work out, then you're with this other person until it don't work out, then you're with this other person until it don't work out. And fundamentally that is flawed because you end up leaving a part of your identity with each of these. Worse if you go in bed with them.
Yeah. Which we're not supposed to be doing. As Christians, we're saving ourselves until marriage, okay? That's what we do on this channel. We save, we wait. Waiting is school over here. It's the thing.
I'm saying that to say that if we're Christians, we cannot use the world's model of dating as our template.
Okay.
We cannot seek to confine our possibilities to what the world has prescribed as the norm. So then how do we shift that model to make it make sense for us? And I think, and I mean, I'm no expert on this.
We're just sharing our opinions.
But I think that the best way to safeguard against that is to have a period of dating when you are getting to know people without any commitments.
No strings attached.
Nobody
thinking that you are their person. And I think that has a lot to do with how you communicate, what you say, and how you navigate everything. I must say that it took me a while to get comfortable with that goes on because of kind of how I was cultured and socialized. You lose if you get to know multiple people at one time. You lose, or you're a player if you're a guy who's doing that. But I think it has a lot to do with just how we see it, how we were going about it. We're getting, not even, sometimes we think that we're safe because we're not getting physically involved, but we're
how
getting,
deep do you dive emotionally?
We're diving so deep emotionally. The first time you're on the phone with somebody, you're telling them all of your life, you're making plans for the future, and then because we dive in so deep so quickly emotionally, then we now feel away if we're going to do that to multiple people at once.
Exactly,
so about you, did you date?
I dated, honestly. And you see, during the times when Zara and I were not in a committed relationship, she don't like to admit it, but I like to admit it, that in the back of my mind, I was still dating. And
the time when you did the girl, Mr. Guys, after me, you go on work and travel, tell people, oh, me have boyfriend. Xaundre gone on dates with other people, so we never in a committed things, so we in a committed relationship, you know. That is why communication is key.
Communication is so important.
I think you would have mentioned it that we were just kind of figuring things out, but I never took it like that. Because if you're texting my phone with there, you understand?
Yo, and there's a lesson there. There's a lesson there.
There.
Because in her mind,
we DEH.
We were
there. We were
there.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because I don't understand. Oh, you gone out pan dates with girl when you text me. But yeah, communication.
Let's be clear. I was just texting her. We were friends through all of this.
Yeah.
But I still was entertaining other females as potential candidates.
But in my head we did that. In my head we did that, Zon, and I mean, I think that you have to get some slack for that because you never ever said we not there.
Hold on, babe. No. Hold on.
You told us that we were figuring it out. But I never know you were still trying to figure it out with other people. There is a difference. You never explicitly said, oh, maybe you didn't know, but me just did ignore it.
I said it on multiple occasions. We came to an understanding.
It's true. Oh my gosh. I completely
erased
that out. Yeah, me not here. No, my brain just never, and I know it's something that my brain does. My brain just never hear that all the time. Guys love tell girls thing and girls just complete. No, my brain cannot
because
compute.
In my mind, we had clearly established this reality.
True. That is true. I just blocked it out for true. And that's why I was kind of so annoyed when you said that. And even though I was annoyed, I was like, okay, but we did establish that we weren't official or we weren't like exclusive dating. So yeah, I guess that's the day. Womp. What's a flop? Womp womp womp. But how do you balance that with church guys like you, because you have led me on multiple occasions, and it's a thing, church guys like leading on church girls, right? How do you balance that with just getting to know my options, seeing the options out there, and then lead me on?
All right,
what is the difference and how does a guy strike that balance? Because we have been victims of it a lot of times.
I should probably also ask the guys on the video, how do guys strike this balance? Because one thing about Xaundre, Xaundre got talk about things, but Xaundre got established when he's not an expert on something. And I have been accused on multiple different occasions
of leading
on girls, and I am completely oblivious.
No, guys are generally just oblivious. I feel like a lot of guys, that is part on a character trait, oblivious.
And interestingly enough, guys, like the girls that I would think, I'm actually interested in and like perhaps considering moving forward with, are never the ones who say that I led them on,
Oblivion.
Are never the ones who say I lead them on. It's the ones who in 2 years time hear me that lead on, and just like, but we only had a conversation once. I don't understand. Sorry, before we get back to the point, let me just say something here though.
Okay.
That a lot of girls, and I don't mean to be rude to anybody, but a lot of girls are not used to guys treating them nicely.
That is so true.
And when a guy treats a young lady nicely, all of a sudden I want her. No, sometimes they're just good men out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that if him treat you nicely, him don't want you, but I am saying that not because he treats you nicely doesn't mean that he wants you intimately.
That's true.
Because it's a defense mechanism that I have used, and I'm not going to say that it's not a reality. I have used it as a defense mechanism. Stay completely oblivious. Don't bother ask no question. Ricketts was the one who said this the other day, and it has stuck with me. Don't ask questions you don't really want to know the answer to. Yeah, as we're talking about multiple girls, I've actually seen where even girls who, and no offense to you, who might not be a Christian, certainly may not see eye to eye with me on certain like major fundamental pillars of my belief system.
Yeah.
But I've seen where even girls who I could not in my wildest dream imagine that we could make a good couple have thought that I'm interested in them.
Oh, I get you.
And I'm just like, you really thought that this guy who get up every day and talk about the blood of Jesus covering him would be interested in a young lady who has no interest at all in spiritual things?
Yeah, and I think the difference is babe, because a lot of people think that they like you, but they don't like all of you. So they like the fact that you, at the time you were doing med, so you're gonna be doctor, you're gonna be successful one day, and you can talk. You know, you're so handsome, so you're nice to bring out.
Well, something look too bad.
You don't look too bad. You're really sweet.
Oh, thank
so
you.
they see all of that, but then the Christian part seems like a part that you can compromise on. And a lot of us as Christians, we compromise on that when it comes to relationship. And the world sees that over and over again. So these ladies might think that, yeah, you are all of this and you're Christian, but it's something that it doesn't really seem as something that's going to prevent them from being in a relationship with you.
So so I'm not going to even fight that, but what I would potentially fight is when you're in the church,
Yes.
you are a Christian, and then you think that God can't find somebody for you in the church,
Yeah.
so instead you go find somebody out the road.
For
There's
yourself.
something fundamentally wrong with that.
And let me tell you the two perspectives. The first perspective, there's a shortage for the females. I got to represent. There's a shortage of males in the church.
All right,
That's one.
Can I deal with that now, or you want me to come back to it?
No,
All right,
we're going
go
to
on.
come back. We're going
Go
to come
on.
back. So that's the first one. And the second one is that you have guys in the church and females and ladies in the church who are churchgoers, but they're not true children of God. So because they're churchgoers and not true children of God, then you don't see the fruit. You don't see the fruit of being a good Christian. You don't see that represented in their lives. So then you're saying, well, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense I stay with you in the church because you're no better than the one outside of the church. And that's on us as Christians, because we're not living the life that sets us apart and allows us to seem different.
Catch the 2 points. And while I can't disagree with the fact that these are reasons that people have given, because I've also heard them.
Yeah.
I think both of them are built on completely flawed premises.
But I had to represent the perspective.
That's
all
fine.
I'm doing.
Alright, cool. So let's deal with them. Let's start with the second one first.
The one about people in the church not being.
Yes.
Okay.
I am not making a case for churchgoers who are not Christians.
No.
Because if you are a Bible believing Christian, firmly on your walk with Jesus, and you're trying every day, and you still go take up one of the crosses man them in the church who just pretending like he is a Christian, you're just as unequally yoked as if you did take up somebody from outside.
And you know, one time I was okay with that. You
But
remember?
were you at that point
Yeah.
in a place with your relationship with God that you can say that you guys were good?
No, and that is why I think I place so much emphasis on individuals knowing who they are before they even try to date, understanding your value in Christ, who God sees you as, and who he's calling you to be. Because if you don't get that right and you don't have a firm relationship, then that is when you will settle for the person who is kind of just pretending because it's better than nothing.
I don't agree that it's better than nothing.
I know, I don't agree either. I don't agree.
But you're just representing the viewpoint.
And then I'm also saying that I was there, like
dangerous.
It's dangerous, man.
And you know, God talk about people being lukewarm worse than if you did hot or you did cold.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that is when you can come and fool people.
Yes.
So I would suggest that to that person looking at these people as being attractive. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna say that them can be attractive to you.
Yeah.
Because sin look good, and
sin looks good overall.
And I mean, overall, you can't tell your body who to be attracted to. But the decision to go now and pursue a relationship with them, or to consent to a relationship with them if the person is pursuing you, is where you would have taken a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And one must ask themselves, am I at a place where out of desperation I am settling?
Yeah.
Or is it that God has led me to this person?
Yeah.
However, what I will say, statistics apply to populations, not individuals.
Okay.
So even though numerically, let's say you have 100 females who are eligible, and 10 males who are eligible, it does not give that 100 females, those 100 females, a reason to go around griping about the shortage of men, because there are 10 eligible men. So follow the thought process now. Your job is not to play matchmaker for all the women in the church. Your job as a single woman is to place yourself in a position where you are eligible for a relationship with one of these men. Not every man in the church is taken. Don't fool yourself to say every man in the church is taken.
And also, oh hey there, I see you watching. So if you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button.
Then after you smash the like button, share this with everybody you know, with Facebook.
Share it on your Instagram, your
WhatsApp, in your church youth group.
Yeah, we want to ensure that this type of content goes far and wide, and we also want to be able to continue to create this type of content. And in order to continue, for us to continue to create, you got to share it. Alright, now back to the video. People will be called to a life of singleness, and that's also just something that we have to be okay with. Guys are in the church, but I think that even though guys are in the church, a lot of guys in the church, one, they know more about God than they know how to emulate him. So they're there and they know the theology, but they don't know how to live like the character of God. So them can tell you every prophecy in the Bible. They can tell you how to scroll from Genesis to Revelation, but they don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to treat people. They don't know how to put themselves together. They don't have any social skills. And that, my love, is one of the things that a lot of Christian women deal with and have to fight with. So I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying that I can understand and I can empathize with people who just say, you know what, I'm just going to be by myself. Or maybe that's why they get that temptation to go outside the church, because it looks so much better. The guys outside, and it's easy to say, okay, he looks good, he has a nice job, he has good social skills, but he's not a Christian. And it's easy to say he has 9 out of 10, but he's not a Christian, so let me pray that God will help him down the line. It's easy to see that because of what you're going up against.
I don't mean to be callous, but the facts are the facts. And if God is so powerful that he can bring your guy that checks 9 out of 10 but doesn't have God into the church, then he can also fix that guy who is with God but doesn't know how to talk to people.
Yeah, that's true.
He can also fix that guy who is with God but in bank account probably not look so cute.
Or I'm not dressed so good.
Him probably not dressed so good. And I think this now brings us into this conversation about what should be our negotiables and what should be our non-negotiables. So let's talk about the negotiables versus the non-negotiables now.
Yeah, the negotiables are things that you can shake. And for me, I think that those negotiables can be things like physical appearance, right?
All right.
So negotiables are things that you can, I think, you're okay with compromising. So the guy for me might not have a lot of money. You know, that was a negotiable. I was okay with being with somebody who was a trying youth.
Trying youth.
Yeah.
What are the negotiables?
Those are the negotiables.
The non-negotiables. Before we go to the non-negotiables, let's talk a bit about this attraction story.
What were some of your negotiables?
Right, I'll get to that in a quick second, but let's say a word on this attraction thing. I don't believe that you can be in a good relationship with somebody that you're not attracted to.
I agree.
Not all that glitters is gold, but gold always glitters.
Babe.
So yeah, you might have to shake some of your negotiables, but if you really just can't get attracted to the person, and as you're inching towards, you know, your intimate relationship, you realize, if you're the guy, the tent not erect.
Tent not erect.
If you know, you know. But if you
what
can't,
kind of analogy is that?
If you can't pitch the tent, or if you're the lady, and boy, I will not say anymore. But guys, the point is, if you realize you can't get attracted to the person,
right,
I don't think it's going to work.
That's fair. I agree.
So while we shake some of the negotiables, you know, to be fair, I never had, and I know you asked me the question, while I never had an exhaustive negotiable list.
Yeah, I never had a very exhaustive.
Because once I'm attracted to her and she meets all of my 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 non-negotiables, then I was okay with proceeding. And probably largely because the things that would fall in my negotiable list were all things that could be learned.
So like my non-negotiables, I knew that I had to be with a Christian. And for me, it was important that he was Seventh-day Adventist because I am Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay.
And being Seventh-day Adventist means that my lifestyle will be different. I know people who date cross denominations, it doesn't bother them because it doesn't affect their lifestyle. No, I go to church on Saturday, I keep the Sabbath. If I was going to be with somebody who doesn't keep the Sabbath, I can see that down the line. Right now when things nice and rosy, it might be fine. But I could see that down the line it would cause an issue. So for me, I never even dated you if you weren't Adventist.
Alright, so I know this is another ticklish spot.
The dating across denominations thing.
Yeah. What do you really think about that?
So personally, I never did it. As I say, for me, it was better you were a bad church goer, but you were going to church than a Christian. For me, that's where I was to the point where when I wasn't like a strong Christian or whatever. But I think you should err on the side of caution. And where it matters when your denomination affects the way you live.
Alright, cool. Point taken. I see it a little differently.
Okay, cool. Tell me how you see it.
So, if you're a bad person, if you're a, we would have said no, like you believe the same theology that I do,
yes,
but you don't have the fruits to support a relationship or to show that you have a relationship with God, no.
Fair.
No.
Fair.
It's a hard no for me.
Okay.
If, however, we don't see eye to eye on some doctrinal things, we're across denominations, and I know a lot of the Adventists are coming for me with this one, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to tell you what I think, and I mean, we can have a discussion about it, not opposed to having a discussion. I'm learning and growing still. But even if we disagree on some doctrinal issues, if by your fruit I can know that you have a relationship with God, you are working on this relationship with Him each day, I could date you.
You could date me, and I think that's fundamentally where we are, because me just not have the energy. Me not have the energy. So because me not have the energy, because you have to remember, you know, that a lot of guys who I would have been meeting who are not Christians or whatever, they will be the ones pressuring me for sex. They will be the ones asking me to go out with them on a Saturday. They were the ones who were, you know, open to compromising a lot of stuff. But you're the guy, so you were okay now with dating and getting to know other people who were not in the church.
No, I never said that.
Okay, who are not of your faith, of your denomination,
of my denomination,
right?
Faith.
You're okay with that, because it was just getting to know, and it wasn't be upper level.
Right.
Okay.
And also, you can't forget the major caveat to this, which is that by their fruit, I am discerning that this is somebody actively working with on their relationship with God and making progress in that area too. Not talk about a struggling person who does not make no headway with their relationship with God,
learn and grow,
and don't want make no headway at all. I'm talking about the person who is actively studying, actively witnessing, actively trying to improve their prayer life, and actually making some progress there. And here's why I think so. I think that if you have a and I'm going to use Seventh-day Adventist just because we are. If you're a Seventh-day Adventist and you do not care to grow in the Lord, you are bad influence for me.
Even if you have the same faith.
Even if you and I are of the same faith. That is true.
And a lot of that happened in our church.
You are bad influence for me.
Unequally yoked Adventism marriages happen all the time. Because like me, when I was saying when I was there, that I would rather date somebody who was Adventist, even if you weren't a Christian. Because you can be Adventist and you can be Catholic and you can be Methodist and you're not a Christian. You know that, right? If you don't never know me, until you know.
The contrast is the person who, I'm Adventist, and let's say that you are Pentecostal.
Right.
But you are devout in what you believe. You grew up Pentecostal. That's what you know. Or maybe you just came to meet God and that was the first church that you joined. Whatever reason, but you're Pentecostal. And to the best of your knowledge, what Pentecostals teach is true, and you are living by that truth. I would prefer to date you, get to know you, and while we're having these conversations and inching more towards an intimate relationship, we study the Bible together. Now, remember that underlying this is the person's willingness to learn and grow. And I believe that during that process, and I understand that this is a slippery slope, but hear me out. During that process is where the Lord will work on the convictions of doctrinal beliefs versus what I believe doctrinally versus what you believe doctrinally. Because at the end of the day, I can see that you are actively yearning towards that intimate relationship with God. For me, that is a lot less risky than the person who is in the church pretending that they're in a relationship with God, but no fruit to prove it. Even though I would date this person, I would not court or marry somebody who is of a different denomination than mine, for the reasons that you also explained. So Xaundre, how does this make sense now? How can you date the person without wanting to court or marry them? I understand. I already see the questions in the comments.
What I was gonna say. That sounds like a waste of time to me. Personally, I just don't believe in missionary dating.
Okay.
And I think that if somebody wants to be your friend...
Hold on. You don't believe in missionary dating?
No, I don't believe in
But you just said that you'd have been okay with dating somebody who is in the faith, in the theological faith, but not having any fruit to show for it.
I was okay with it. It never means that was right. I don't believe in none of them. So right now where I am, based on the growth that I have done.
Okay. Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
So I don't believe, I don't think that's right either.
Okay.
I'm just saying that that's where I was when I was dating.
Okay.
At that time where I was spiritually. And I mean, I moved from that where I was also at the stage where I decided that, hey, I don't want to be with you. Because I also met a lot of Adventist guys who had SDA in them bio on Instagram, and they were nothing named Christian.
Okay.
So I moved on to the stage where I was like, I want to date you if you're a child of God first. And then also if you are of my denomination, because as I said, me not have the time for ways, Xaundre. Me not have the time for go on a talk with you. I am not going to convince anybody to change their denomination. I'm not getting to know you with the intention of just telling you, say, well, I got to know you, this and this don't make no sense because you obviously think you believe something different. And I think that if you are going to be friends with somebody for them to change or for them to see your light, you don't have to date them to know that.
Okay, I hear you. And I understand that this is a tricky area and it is even unsafe. I'll admit that from the get-go. But I also believe that because we try to broad sweep everything, we end up missing certain key nuances that would help us to understand biblical principle and apply it better to our lives.
Okay.
I would say to her from the get-go, listen, this is where my headspace is. I have no intentions of getting married to somebody whose lifestyle is going to be drastically different from mine. I'm going to bring confusion into the household when the kids come about. Them don't know which day they must go to church. Them don't know whether they must eat pork or they mustn't eat pork. Them don't know if them believe that we're going to go to heaven when we're dead or if we're going to live in a grave somewhere. They don't know what they believe, and I'm not about bringing that confusion into a household.
Okay.
However, having established that, I like you and I like your drive. I like your Christian zeal. And I'd want us to study together. And I'd want us to learn and grow together. And we will see where this goes. No commitments. Because I believe that you can, in that stage of dating, get to know that person. You can get that understanding. And if it is God's will that person is converted, then that person is converted. And if it is God's will that you denounce your faith, then you will also denounce your faith. Because don't be fooled. This can also spin the other way. You know, but the reality of it is that you must be prayerfully exploring this with Jesus. Now, I know that especially those people who are very risk averse are going to disagree with me vehemently.
Yeah. I think possibly just the way how we navigate the world. Okay.
And that's why it comes all the way back down to our framework for how we date.
That's true. And I think for how we date, that's one. And also, as you say, how we navigate the world. I don't like taking risks, and I don't anything what hurt up my head.
We're not gonna always say eye to eye on everything.
It's okay. So yeah, as we talk about the whole dating and exclusive dating and everything, and how some people don't even believe in that whole dating multiple people type of thing. There is this book that I want to recommend. It is called The Secret Road to Marriage by Danielle Olivia, and this is a book that really examines the guide to monogamous dating. It examines some key principles about dating purposefully. It's a very pretty read, very conversational. She talks
very
about,
short too.
Yes, it's short, it's easy to capture some of the more fundamental things. She talks about finding yourself and finding your purpose, and then going into actually finding a partner who you should ask God to guide you through it, and even the things that you should look for, things that, you know, possibly you won't even think that you should look for. And then what I like most about it is that it's kind of like a workbook. So
places to write.
And she uses what the Bible says, she uses what society says, and then she also talks about what she has found in her research. She actually did some interviews with 30 Jamaican.
That's by far the single most like interesting thing about this book. She actually spoke with all these people.
Exactly, which I love. So I mean, it's a roadmap. It helps you to navigate this whole dating purposefully, dating intentionally. So we highly recommend it. We're going to leave the link in the description box. So right now we are recommending, especially in this video, The Secret Road to Marriage.
I've only scanned through it so far, and I'm definitely going to give this a read.
Yeah.
I'm already married, but I'm still definitely going to read it. I read everything already, but I'm going to definitely
and we should gift that copy to somebody.
Okay, so when I'm done, I'm going to give it to somebody. Who should we give it to?
I don't know. Who knows? Do you want to read it?
Let us know in the comments down below.
Comments.
Alright, but on this idea of monogamous dating though, I don't really want to give the impression that I'm opposed to it.
Okay.
Because I did say that I believe in dating multiple people. However, I want to kind of explain a little bit more what my viewpoint is, right? So initially, when you're getting to know people, it's really just with that intention in the back of your mind, but you're not making any big moves.
Okay.
That period may not last for long. It may last for long, but certainly after you have dialed down your list to prospective people, you obviously can't be in a deep committed relationship with multiple people at once. At least I do not suggest being in a deep committed relationship with multiple people at once.
Okay.
So it is when now you're prepared to make that step forward with this person.
So your boyfriend and girlfriend now.
This is when now you start call boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, because, and I think it's important that we maintain that distinction, because you don't want to be deeply committed to multiple people at once, and you also want to be very clear about your intentions at this point. If you're entertaining more than one person, let them know. But from the moment you decide to settle down, also let the other people know that you're settling down with somebody else. And I know it's hard to have conversations, but that is why relationships are for mature people.
So what word do you have for the guys, the Christian man them wanna stop leader and the girl them?
Yo, I have a lot to say, knowingly, and then I guess unknowingly for everybody else, because I wasn't really interested in leading on.
But why did you lead me on? Because there must have been a reason.
There was a reason.
Yeah.
She's a really good girl, as you can tell. I asked her to marry me. She was crazy enough to say yes.
What was your headspace during that time?
I didn't want to lose her, but I also didn't want to commit to her.
Okay.
And I held out for too long, admittedly, with not making a commitment to her. I mean, no real harm was done, like nothing that we couldn't get past, thankfully. However, it caused her a lot of heartache during the time, you know. This is explicitly more in-depth in our love story videos. But there were also periods where we were very clear in the fact that we were not in a relationship.
Yes.
And during those times, did you still feel tied to me?
No, not very tied.
Not very tied, but still some kind of tied.
No, I think at different points my mindset was a little different, especially in the latter parts. I was pretty okay, and I was a little bit, I felt liberated and I felt like I was good, but that was after very clear communication.
That was after very clear communication, which underscores the importance of very clear communication.
And I think it also took a lot of growth from me, and I think a lot of us as ladies, we know that we're more emotional and less logical, so we don't try to build the logical side of us. So in the same way that you should meet me a little bit by getting a little bit more emotional, as ladies, we have to be intentional about building that side of our brains as well, because it doesn't come to us naturally a lot of times. So actually listening when a guy says, hey, you know, just getting to know, and not blocking,
actually listening,
and not blocking that part of your brain off, or actually allowing yourself to have these hard to have conversations and not be afraid of what he'll say and not be afraid of what that will look like. So I knew where your headspace was. But overall though, I think that guys in the church, them have too much options, and because them have too much options, them just go on with themselves and them just string you on, and overall there's a commitment issue. I think there's a commitment issue in the church.
You know, Sister White actually spoke about it. Auntie Ellen, if you know, you know. But she actually said that trifling with hearts is no minor sin.
Yeah.
Like when I read that, it draped me.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was trifling with your heart at the time. And I had to learn from that to not trifle with people's hearts.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal. And I want to say to the guys as well, you know, yeah, we have a lot of options. Yeah, we take that for granted. I can't discredit what Zara said. It's absolutely true. But more importantly than how many options we have, we need to remember that there's one God that we serve. And this one God that we serve love all of these ladies that are potential candidates. You can't go around treating them loosely. Like you need to be very clear. And obviously I've had my flaws. I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm trying to save a lot of ladies a lot of hurt as well, by asking you gentlemen to be intentional about your dating. And from the moment you communicate to somebody that you are interested in them and going further with them, realize that comes with responsibility. And
I think we've spoken a lot about what you should do and what you're not supposed to do, and who you must choose, and the list, and the non-negotiables and the negotiables. But there's a very big part for just the Holy Spirit to play in it. Are you purposefully praying and asking God to help lead me to this person? Or are you asking God to send me the partner that will benefit my life? Whether this partner is denominational or non-denominational, but are you trusting in the same way that you trust God to help you overcome this obstacle, and you trust God to help you to pass that test, or to get this new job, or to get that promotion? Are you fully putting your dating life in front of Him?
So baby, do you think that a lot of us fail at this dating thing because we depend too much on our own wisdom and our own artificially constructed, even though good, but artificially constructed lists and criteria by which we choose a good partner?
Oh yes. And I think we don't give it to God enough. I think in the dating period, and I've been guilty of it, we focus a lot on finding, positioning what the person should look like, what we should look like, what we need to do. You know, we need to learn to cook and clean and that, because we need to be a good wife and whatever. But
I was about to say that, keep going.
But I don't know how much we surrender our entire will to God, and say to Him that God, I will be content with whatever you give to me, and with however you decide my life is going to go. But God, I desire a partner, and if that is what you desire for me, I'm leaving it to you.
Alright, so I have a question. Would you be okay with marrying a guy who has no domestic utility?
No, because I didn't get married until I was 24. So you're telling me that there was nowhere in your 24 years you never thought it necessary to learn how to do domestic things? It means that you look at me, not a wife. And I never signed on to be nobody wife, nobody maid. I signed on to be people wife.
Alright,
so no, I would not marry a guy with no domestic utility. No.
Okay, I asked you that question kind of in a very guarded way, because I would not
you would not marry a girl?
I would not marry a woman without domestic utility. And I don't think it's rude. I also don't think it cheapens a woman any at all. Instead, I think it puts a woman in even a higher esteem to say that, you know, I believe that you can be a homemaker.
Yeah.
And And I'm saying that to say it means a lot to me.
Right.
So if I were to, remember we're talking about negotiables and non-negotiables, and I said that most of the things that would be on my negotiables list would have been things that can be learned.
Right.
I would date a woman who can't cook.
Fair. And I would date a guy. Who has no, yeah, that's fair.
But I would not marry a woman who can't cook.
Because during the dating process, we must can teach us something. And that's what we'll cover when we do the courtship.
Yeah.
We'll do some courtship videos. Not directly after this, but we'll do some courtship videos a little later on. And we'll tackle those deeper things about, what the person should be, doing before that period, what you should be doing during that period as you lead up to marriage.
I wanted to ask though, do you think that there are a lot of men in the church who are good Christians but terrible at this being a man or being a
I need help now. No man, true, they need help.
That they're not attractive, they're probably not the best at dealing with situations.
Can't talk. Overall, I think that there are a lot of Christian guys who just don't see the value
in self-development. And you can't be a true Christian and don't see the value in self-development.
They also think, how them say, sometimes you're so heavenly minded that you have no earthly purpose.
Earthly good, you're of no
earthly good. I find that you also have people on that extreme. As from a guy's perspective, because I know that a lot of guys might be watching this, or a lot of ladies might send this to whether they're church groups or their guy, or put on their status, and guys might watch this. I think that you're a pretty balanced young man, right?
Well, thank you, my lady.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So I think that you've learned how to apply biblical principles to different aspects of life.
The perk up now, because you
have a good.
She tell me nice things and head as well.
You have a good approach to growth, so you're open to learning and stuff like that. What are some resources? Like, where would you guide any guy watching this? What would you say helped you to reach to this point, other than the Bible, which is the key?
Fundamentally, what is missing is not the absence of the resources.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want to direct it necessarily to a resource.
Okay.
It's instead resourcefulness. It's instead a willingness to utilize what resources you have available to you.
But for those who have the growth mindset and want to learn.
Off the bat, you go straight to messages to young people. That's a great book to read.
Yes, it is.
Then you go and you read Letters to Young Lovers.
Yes.
That's another great book to read. Those deal with more of the fundamentals of how to think about personal growth and development, and also how to think about being in a relationship, dating and courting and stuff like that. Those books are great for that.
That's true.
I would also suggest that you start to ask yourself, where do you want to see your life in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Starting to ask those questions will change your perspective, because you stop living for day to day, every day just trying to make it to the next day, and instead trying to move towards a big picture. You see, the moment you start to be a big picture thinker, it changes the way you view life.
Okay.
And then depending on what area you find now that you have an interest in, there are a lot of resources on the internet for it. YouTube, just find it on YouTube. I know we've said a lot of confusing things, so if you want more clarity on this, feel free to send us an email or a DM on Instagram at Adventures of XYZ. So guys, thanks for joining us on this episode, and we'll see you next time on Adventures of XYZ. Bye guys.